Howdy math fans, test 14 lesson 5. If your swords are ready, let's go. Today we're going to talk about how to draw conclusions from a sample, how to identify volume using water displacement, and how to identify triangles by their angles. And we'll start with drawing conclusions from a sample. So there are 30 kids in Natalie's class. She asked 10 of them if they liked to read. 8 said yes and 2 said no. What conclusions can Natalie draw from this information? When you're drawing a conclusion, you want to use words like all, most, half, few, or none, and avoid words like some or a few or lots. The reason you want to do that is because these are precise words. If I say all of the kids like to read, that means every single kid likes reading. If I say some kids like to read, well, that can mean something different to different people. If I said some people like reading, you might think that means 2 of them like to read, and your uncle might think that means that 9 of them like to read. It's an imprecise word, so we don't want to use these guys. So if 8 of the 10 said they like to read, I can't say that all of them like to read. I certainly can't say that none like to read. 8 is quite a few, so I could probably say most. So what conclusion can she draw from this information? She could say most kids in her class enjoy reading. And that would be a good conclusion for her to draw from that information. The more people you ask, the better information you get. But given what we have here, this would be a good conclusion that I could draw from what she knows. And moving on, let's review how to identify volume using water displacement. So we started this last week, but we're going to look at it again. A rock is placed in a beaker of 250 milliliters of water. The water rises to 365 milliliters. What is the volume of the rock? So here I have my beaker, and it has 250 milliliters of water. After I put my rock in there, the water goes up to 365 milliliters. So I want to know the volume of the rock. Well, I know that the water didn't change. Okay, my before water was this much, and I didn't add or take out any water. So however much water is in here now must be the same as I had before, and that was 250 milliliters. So why is my water at the 365 milliliter line? Because of the rock. So that means whatever extra is in there is coming from the rock. So to figure out what the rock's volume is, I'm going to take my new volume of water and subtract how much water I know is in there. And the answer is 115. So the volume of the rock is 115. This is actually a way that you can measure butter too. If you're trying to cook with butter and it's really hard and it says that you need 115 milliliters of water, if you take a measuring cup and you fill it with water up to 250 and then you start adding lumps of butter until it rises to there, you'll know that you have put in 115 milliliters of butter. So that's just a free little tip or trick. It works with cups too. If you need half a cup of butter, you can fill your cup measure to 1 cup and add butter until it shows 1.5 cups, and then you'll know that you added half a cup of butter. And our last goal for today is to identify triangles by angles. So quickly a review. The 3 angles of a triangle add up to what? And of course the answer is 180 degrees. The 4 angles of a quadrilateral add up to what? Well, you can see that what I've done here is I've made my quadrilateral into 2 triangles. 2 triangles together make a quadrilateral. So if the angles of a triangle are 180 and 2 triangles make a quadrilateral, then the quadrilateral's angles are always going to add up to 360 degrees. So that's the most important thing to know right now, is that the 3 angles of a triangle always have to add up to 180. The 4 angles of a quadrilateral always add up to 360. And like I said, that does make sense because it's 2 triangles put together to make a quadrilateral. And 2 triangles would be 180 plus 180, 360. And since we're mostly doing review today, that's it. Nice and easy. So here is your review that you need to do for tomorrow. Number 1 says there are 100 kids in a cafeteria that offers a choice between pizza and spaghetti. Ben checked with 10 kids and all of them were eating pizza. Which would be a reasonable conclusion he could draw? So it would be A, all the kids chose pizza, B, no kids chose pizza, C, few kids chose spaghetti, or D, most kids chose spaghetti. Number 2, a beaker of water shows 450 milliliters with a rock inside. The rock has a volume of 183 cubic centimeters. How much water is in the jar? And number 3, if a triangle has two angles of 60 degrees and 40 degrees, what is the third angle? So get those 3 questions done, and I will see you tomorrow.